The pause, yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So they're saying a folding space there?
In a sense, it is a two-dimensional depiction of a cube in other dimensions. Here we're seeing a tetrahedron. And if I remember correctly, it's in the sixth dimension that we're looking. And these drawings come from the University of Pittsburgh math department, if my memory serves me correctly. So there was a point where I could shift and vector these somehow. Some capacity with the pictures was lost. And there'll be other pictures where you can see the rotation.
Yeah, that was my question about the spiral that you were mentioning yesterday. Will that be coming in later?
Yes, yes, yeah. And there have been crystals grown in space uh, by astronauts that are actually expressing uh, 5 and 6 dimensions. So still we're looking at 3D. Now we're looking, I thought 6, um, 1, 2, set 4 dimensions. Looking at 4 dimensions. And you see the proof, so to speak. So these are food for thought. And the person who has written, I think very articulately, is Michio Kaku on the idea of hyperspace. And the calendars of the Mayan and Cherokee and other indigenous people are actually hyperdimensional calendars, um, in that they're keeping track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're keeping track of um, the relationships with other dimensions. And so we speak of global warming, and it is actually occurring throughout our solar system. And it is postulated and thought by many indigenous people that new energy is coming from the dark rift, and thus speeding up the movement of uh, neutrons, protons, electrons, neutrinos, and subatomic particles. And that speeding up, changing the frequency, then makes accessible uh, energy information exchange, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh dimensions.
And what is W?
What is W? And that's the potential.
The potential.
Yes, that gives access and rise to another form.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the simple way.
Yeah.
And Michio Kaku is, I think, wise to read him. and what you can find about explanations of, in fact, on YouTube, there are beautiful explanations of various dimensions, going to 11th, and they're very beautifully done. Uh, as I took the break, um, I basically keep teaching materials and old lectures in categories and boxes, and I was going through a box about form, space, elements, and I came across an article by an incredible astrophysicist named George Merkel, who also became a biochemist. And he, after looking at and analyzing the frequency information expressed through the experiments with sound on a plate and different mediums, he began to analyze the plasma of different types of beings. And he basically was able to find the life force crystal and actually created medication. And he made his laboratory available to my family and saved a person's life. So
What crystal was that?
it's called the life force crystal.
This is blood plasma, right?
Yes. And the life force crystal actually looks like a truncated icosahedron. Well, now we're going to go to a slideshow. It's just continuing the thought. So here we see the duodecahedron, the plane face of the pentagon, replicated again in the rose. What is significant about and the same spiral is replicated in the formation and the movement of galaxies. This is actually a synagogue in Turkey that just passed, and again the four columns, yeah, reminding you of the four pillars. And here are the eaves, 1, 2, 3, 4. Who's an architect and will speak precisely? What would you call the nave and the arches in the nave?
Keystone? You know,
Transit, nave and transit.
I think that's the light.
Transept is the section that goes across the top of the church and goes to the
Yes.
What you call it, gusset. It could be a buttress.
buttress.
Uh-huh.
Five buttresses, maybe one. That's awesome.
That's,
Now, this is said to be an example of the mind, that design. We'll play this again. And I invite you just to observe and contemplate. Also, some of life force crystals look like that, a truncated duodecahedron. So this is a drawing of a torus ring and how it is surrounding every form, and even the cell membrane.
And jet too.
Yes. Uh-huh. Even the cell membrane has a rainbow torus ring around it.
all torus rings yet? Have you arrived yet?
No,
Just-
some are still, let's say there's not a parent. Yeah. In the cell membrane, especially with the microscope that was developed by George Merkel, you can actually see the jet. And he would refer to that as uh, a male energy that would then uh, excite the female potential that then became the the spiral of RNA to carry and convey messages. Which was very similar. Is Vincent here? It's very similar to what we were discussing. And this, I'll pause this because this is, oops, go back. Some people who have are studying the uh, inner geometry of the Earth have shown the interlacing tetrahedrons, which also reveal a torus ring. And how the places where there are apexes are places of high energy potential.
That would define the grid, the ley lines of the Earth.
Yes, and also the lightning grid work are in ley lines and lightning grid work, and even the water pathways are in relationship to the energy emitting points and vertices of the inner geometry of the planet.
What's the source? Where did this picture come from?
Um,
Like a science magazine or a website?
let's see if it shows me. I'll exit it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Many of them come from the math department. This one, Earth, let's see, it should tell me here. 7:15 Um, I'm sorry, I don't have the information.
July 15, 2005.
Yeah, that was a, yep. um, in the past, there were people who sent me a great deal of information who worked at NASA. I don't think they work there anymore because I don't get the packs of information.
Can you tell from that EART
It might be Earthgate.
Yeah.
That might be the site, or it might be received in packages of information that were sent to me.
I think that the icosahedron is water.
Yes.
Why is that?
Why is it considered water? In terms of the geometry, the fire creates heat condensation. It's composed of triangles, and then this gives rise to the potential of moisture. And when we are speaking of fire and heat, there are considered, in Cherokee, 7 kinds of fire, and some say 49 types of fire. And actually, people are speaking of magnetism and other types of energy that are creative and destructive and relate to the process of forms arising. So how is it the icosahedron represents water? Through the generation of heat, the potential of moisture is revealed, and certainly um, the boundary of the molten core and the less uh, heated uh, rock of the earth, at these boundaries is where new water is formed. And the concept of new water also has very important spiritual implications, and also is important in terms of cloning. So people think cloning is something new. It's not. The Ethiopians actually, understanding the power of frequency, created clones from very special wells where the water has this perfect memories like original water. So it is not just born at the boundary. It is original water from the three flames bursting forth that became a cloud and it enmeshed in the earth. So there are also different kinds of water. There are different types of water. So the icosahedron in its simple form is a reminder that water arises from heat. So back to the slideshow.
Did you say something about mind?
Mind?
You were saying something, there was a shape there about mind a moment ago, I thought.
Yes, that basically was a geometric form that is said to represent mind. Uh, mind that builds, not consciousness, mind.
Not conscious.
Yeah, mind and consciousness are not the same.
Right.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And so, considering the words we've shared and the thoughts we've shared in meditations, I invite you to observe these forms and contemplate their significance. Vortices of energy potential arising. I want to go back to that one to see if you noticed that there is also another cone which is an attempt to depict the multidimensionality of what appears as a black hole. Hawking's originally thought that black holes, it was the end of the matter. Literally, it was the end of the matter, and now he has reconsidered and recognizes that it is not destroyed, it goes to another dimension. This is a fractal, which is based on the Mandelbrot set, um, which for it gives us an indication that within the small there is the large. In fact, there are beautiful pictures you can search for that look at the scale of, say, a cell, and then pull out from the cell, and you see the planet, the galaxy, and beyond.
Can you speak to fractals in terms of applications and design?
Yeah.
Applications?
In terms of application, fractals have the capacity to, when a dynamic design has repetition, and the fractals arise already according to the golden mean. And when you are cognizant of the color and the power of particular colors, and their dance and their interplay, you can benefit even more the people moving through the space. For example, within the fractal, to use the primary colors, and as people move back, the space is alive and moving because the replication of the color is in the spiral of the Mandelbrot set, or the Fibonacci numbers, and then a person sees not only the color, they see the color changing. Um, some people see color differently. Many people do see color differently, and now it's understood that there are some people have additional cones in their eyes. And so each person can begin to see color in a new way when you create a design where, say, in a long hallway or connecting a loft or a business, you can see the color changes spiraling. And it also creates a pathway for a movement. I think it would be fascinating. Now you probably want me to go back to the beginning, right? Okay, we'll do that. And this is, again, from a math department attempting to express mathematically the potential of additional dimensions or hyperdimensions. And these are free from NASA and other sites of that type. An explanation of a wormhole.
And that energy moving through the black hole, is that the waves of sound that you've been telling us about, or?
Its energy potential giving rise to form, it's a roar, and it sets the whole field in vibration in a particular dimension. These things used to move around. I don't know why they're not moving around anymore.
I remember when you showed some of these in May, when you came to Boston, they were.
Yes, they were
Could you pull
moving.
down any of those other menus there? Like the little wheelie, like down there?
Uh-huh. I think that
repeat of the slides.
Yeah, by changing computers.
What about Teams?
By changing computers, I may have taken it out of the program that enabled it to move.
Because I remember that one used to go up and down.
Yes,
All the screen,
yeah. So I may have to update Adobe. So this is the vortex of electromagnetic energy around the heart. And you can visit the Institute of Heart Math to see some very fascinating research. As arising out of a pentagon or a duodecahedron.
So Moebius strip is another
Yes,
right?
yes.
Active in that visualization, and
Yeah, so Moebius strip does remind us of the torus ring and the toroidal forces that move universes and through which our minds projections. Here is a picture of the Serpent Mound in Ohio.
I'm still trying to get a hold of when heaven and earth meet in our heart, how these forms become who we are here.
Basically, according to the collection of vibration, frequency, that is the result of our belief systems, our voice, our action in the small circle. How did we come from the vastness to be individuated? Is that your question?
Well, here we are, and I'm trying to get from simple shapes
Uh-huh.
and forms to here we are, or here we seem to be.
Well, yeah. Basically, through the spiraling energy potentials, um, the toroidal motion that began with the first sound, that motion uh, created elements which we have become. And those elements, the more they explore themselves and the more concrete they become, the more intelligence is amassed and the stronger the cohesion. And the whole system has intelligence. Then people begin to believe that they are separate from the system and forget their vast intelligence.
Intellect occurs with the concept that says that we're separate, although the greater intelligence should be obvious, the greater cohesion.
Here are those spiraling energy potentials, those strands of rainbow light. So in Dujim's Tercer, you begin to see they're described as a network. And at each intersection is a Tigli or rainbow torus ring.
But as the cohesion and intelligence keep rising, you're dealing with the word and concept of self and other that has some stickiness of force.
Yeah, it does have stickiness of force in the relative realm, and that's the karmic dance. That's what keeps people coming round and round. The adhesions of confused states gives the appearance of not knowing one's unified state. Yet the access is still there, but the habitual view obstructs the wisdom that is. And so, as human beings, it is to remember that we've studied matter, we understand matter, and it's important now to recall that it is a dream of our creation. I'm going to see if I can find them moving again, those geometric forms. Oh, well, we were talking about Merkle. Let's see if this will work. Oh, actually, the electrons moved. So Merkel found the precursor to the mitochondria and the means whereby the information is shared. These are fatty acids that we're looking. Yes. And with his microscope, the cell membranes actually, each cell looks like a torus ring.
And the torus rings, do they always move in that direction, or do
They exist on many planes. So can be horizontal, vertical, z-axis, y.
The movement, is it outward?
It's simultaneously it is in and out because there's the action of motion is occurring, and
giving and receiving?
yeah, that is on the mystical way we recognize that it is a dynamic process. Let's see if we can find some of these that still move. It must be related to Adobe.
You know anything about that, Jeff? There must be somebody in our community who's really up on all these latest technologies.
Probably. Well, the thing is, you need to update the programs.
So that's it, if you just double clicked on each one.
Media player, had to be on media player.
Oh, that's it. There we go.
Okay, well then,
Easy one, easy one.
let's go from the beginning and see. It,
See how that one has a little, it's like a film strip? It has a play button. Do you see that?
Mhm.
No, the MPEG, dot MPEG. That's the one you just showed us. That's an MPEG, right? Yeah. So I think that's indicating that it has. Yeah. Like a little.
When you asked us to visualize being inside a dodecahedron yesterday, I couldn't keep it still.
Because it isn't. Yes.
It reminded me of those things that, they're, I'm trying to remember, it's like what do you call it, like a gyroscope that you have as a human being. Have you ever seen those, Venerable, that you're
Yes.
stretched and you go everywhere on it? It's the most incredible thing. That was the kind of movement that I got.
Yeah, that's rotational inertia.
Exactly.
Coriolis is rotational inertia, I think.
Coriolis?
Yeah, I think it's rotational inertia of the Earth.
Yeah, yeah.
That gets put on us.
Yeah.
This one is very fun.
Well, that one's wonderful.
Let's see.
I love that one.
See, these are older. What I showed you before were copies in a different order and additional pictures. So somehow transferring them.
So is that forms arising from?
Well, this is forms arising on myriad planes. And in music, it's known as the drum of Shiva. When the two cones meet apex to apex, because different um, melodic paths are created, different keys and modes on the top and the bottom. And the only resolution when dealing with Western music is the key of D. And in other music, it is what resolves to itself.
We have the one right below that one. That one.
This is the sound of it's the cytochrome in a human. Yeah, it's digitally produced by analyzing the frequency and replicating it of human cytochrome.
Can you turn it up and then you put the microphone by your computer?
No, cytochrome. Vince, you want to tell them about cytochrome? Do you want to speak about cytochrome? I guess not. Okay.
I think they're enzymes that are keyed by spectrum of light.
Mm-hmm.
Enzyme facilitate reactions.
Yes.
And synthesis and energy transmission.
Yes. Did you hear that?
Didn't know what synthesis and energy.
Say that again?
I don't know the vernacular.
Okay.
Cytochrome
Enzyme is like a catalyst, like catalyst converter in a car. Enzymes facilitate reactions, biological reactions. And sometimes they facilitate laying down of transmitting information from genes, DNA, RNA, and sometimes they facilitate energy or cell function or nerve transmission.
And the necessary to life.
they provide pathways, or how do they do that?
They're molecules that configure in space in a way that other things that they need to work with configure to them. lower the, make it more likely for the reactions to occur that need to occur, or the ion fluxes for synaptic transmission, or the transcription of something that the gene is programmed to produce. And some of them are triggered by different spectrum of light.
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes. Thank you.
So Tom's work in cancer and all the light healing would be working with cytochromes?
Well, every aspect of life is working with cytochromes, and applying the antidote to the dissonance of the body is to restore the cell wall membrane and the cytochrome to their receptors of light. So what occludes, what gets in the way of those enzymes besides fluoride? Fluoride. What else? Heavy metals. So detoxing, fasting, purifying in a very careful way is important. It's not easy to remove heavy metals via oral chelation. And because so many people in who are 40 or older have had mercury in their teeth, it's very important the removal of those heavy metals because they interfere in light, information, life force being absorbed and information being replicated accurately within our being. Also, the heavy metals interfere with our endocrine system. So you can you talk louder?
Sound energy is effectively moving metals from the body.
Yes, say more about it, because that's what Olivia was asking.
One of the devices we have is it's a sound and light chain moving. It sends sound energy through the body, and it actually forces the metals out through the skin.
Oh.
Infrared sound is like as well.
Infrared
You
what?
can sauna, can't you?
Sauna?
Infrared.
Infrared sauna, yeah.
I have an infrared mat, a jade mat, that produces infrared. That would help too. Awesome.
And amethyst mats with infrared? What? Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what we're speaking about. I think that's what they each mean. Yeah, some are made from amethyst, others jade. The jade one is very comfortable.
Yeah. I got a great deal online if anybody wants.
Yes, I'm sure people would.
It's, no, it weighs quite a bit.
Okay. Now, since we appear to be in the right program, I'm just going to let it play. It is not the program that I intended. It's an older one, yet it has the same information. Is clear? And does that answer your question, Barry? Did that answer your question? The question about how does a, no, I guess it didn't fully answer. How does a pentagram become a helix or a torus ring?
What I realized, the question behind my question was, how do you make a stable structure with these five-sided things? And your answer was, you don't.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
They're moving, yeah. Energy in the movement. Yeah. Why do we want to fix it when all things are change?
activity will also affect the expression of genes.
Yes, yes, that is fascinating. That how we are thinking, and especially augmented with dance. Somehow, when there is movement, we are supporting the change of patterns and also the increase of blood flow and the laying down of new information.
And neural activity will create neural structure.
Yes.
That's some of those were in the thumb drive I left.
Oh, you left me a thumb drive?
Yeah.
Thank you.
PDFs.
Thank you.
Neural activity will create neural structure.
As they fire, so they wire.
Right, wired together, fired together, wired together,
Patterns.
wired together.
And
Right, yes,
that
right.
they have,
Right.
those are geometric
Oh.
models.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I came to that looking at what is called crystallized intelligence, which means wisdom.
Mhm.
And in the explanation of that, it sits on a foundation of people looking at it geometrically.
Wonderful. That's more fun reading.
Caddell, C-A-D-D-E-L-L, crystallized, C-A-D-D-E-L-L.
Talk to them.
Yeah, the mainstream says the same stuff that we even hear.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. This is actually a message coming and going when we had Guduji meeting in the valley some years ago. And I don't know if you can see that hyperdimensional pyramid and or cube, and here a membrane forming and something coming out or going in, and another pyramid.
Venerable, what about orbs? When you were talking yesterday about emotion and how it gets stuck in the web of the planet, these energies or thought forms, you were talking, and I wondered if you meant that some of them are orbs?
Some could be orbs, and many orbs are actually beings from another dimension that coexist, and we're just beginning to take note of. You know, like in Samsara's Bar and Grill, who notices the ghost? Not that the orbs are ghosts, they're beings that exist in another realm, and they respond to positive energy they look. And we will, just as new animals are being found on the planet, we are going to start noticing the creatures that live in the atmosphere and more conscientiously categorize them and note them as living beings. Although the orbs are interdimensional, they're also transparent beings. 20 years ago, science did not recognize or even contemplate the existence of jets above clouds or sprites. You know, jets and sprites, they're above the lightning. There are these blue flashes.
When you go up into the belt, then what?
No, you just go out. You don't even go that. You just go.
No, we just had a show on this.
Oh, 3 miles out, and you can see the sprites above the lightning and the jets. And they're called sprites and jets because they're first unexpected, and there's some type of communication of the Earth and her lightning gridwork with the rest of the solar system and the very galaxy itself. So tell people how they can find out more about that
It
show.
was on Nova, within 2 months ago, in the last 2 months.
And what was the show called?
It was about lightning and these packets of energy that they witnessed above the lightning, and they just instantaneous, very quick. They don't last long, and they go up higher than they thought lightning was. And it has something to do with protecting us, protecting that energetically from gamma rays in that Van Allen belt. So and then in the middle there's a I don't know the names of these spheres. You know, there's different spheres. You mentioned the ionosphere, and then there's a little void, and then there's another uh, type of belt there where this is going. You know, I didn't know how important it was until I watched it for about a half an hour, and all of a sudden I started to think, so I looked at it again. I didn't